When I got in the business, private equity wasn't even called private equity. That term didn't exist. They were bootstrap buyers, they were leveraged buyout buyers, and they were insignificant. They were less than 1% of transaction volume. There was maybe 30 firms that were so classified. Today, it's a $7 trillion industry. You're talking about 9,000 private equity firms. You're talking about roughly almost a third of the transaction volume is generated by private equity buyers. So they've come a long way in that period of time, and in that period of time, and I think the reason why, and by the way, the whole veneer has changed too. Back then, bootstrap buyers or leverage buyers, they had a bad connotation because they were typically buying companies. Maybe they break them up, strip out the assets, separate them into divisions or different individual companies, and they were looking for cash cows. Today, they look for growth, and they look for growth vehicles, and they're all about growth. And then they know that if they grow it, and they invest in that growth, and they make the right decisions, they'll get a higher multiple. And they grow it two ways. They grow it through acquisition, and they grow it intrinsically. So you have external growth, acquisition, internal growth, just improving the operations and launching new products or entering new markets or new distribution channels. But the long and the short of it, private equity is big business today, and they rebranded it after the early 90s when these highly leveraged transactions resulted in a lot of bankruptcies, because back then you could do a private equity deal with 5% or 10% equity. Today it's more like 50%, so it's more like, it's much more solidly capitalized. Typical companies are healthier, and they're all growing.